Our national anthem represents the beauty, pride, strength, and resilience of Jamaica and our people. My name is Agent Sasko. Please stand as we honor Jamaica, our culture, and our history.
Hello and welcome to Spotlight Shorts JA, presented to you by the Spotlight Initiative Jamaica in association with the Jamaica Film and Television Association. We are streaming to you live from the New Kingston Drive-In Cinema. How lovely is that? And we are inviting you, you're joining us, please call a friend, WhatsApp a friend, let them know that they are able to share in this amazing experience by logging on to JAFTA Online at UNICEF Jamaica, at all Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages so that they can be a part of what I believe is Jamaican history. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this Spotlight initiative, specifically as it relates to this evening. The goal of Spotlight Shorts JA is to leverage filmmaking to explore, challenge, and raise awareness of harmful norms and practices which contribute to gender-based violence. The project seeks to catalyze conversations that examine prevailing norms and practices and to encourage survivors to seek help and support. And we're going to see some powerful survivor stories this evening. And hopefully once we've seen them, yes, they will spark more conversation on what is happening in Jamaica and how we can help. So before we actually get to see the films, we're going to share in a couple of remarks for some people who are very responsible, very a big part of why we're here today. We're going to be hearing from the United Nations. We're going to be hearing from our own minister. And so we're going to start with Gary Conneal. He's the United Nations Resident Coordinator. Here's Gary Conneal.
Distinguished guest, over the past year, under the Spotlight Initiative, the United Nations country team, in partnership with the European Union, has worked very closely with the government of Jamaica, civil society organizations, and women's groups to scale up efforts to tackle family violence and violence against women and girls. Together, we have been addressing the scourge head-on through a whole-of-society and multi-stakeholder approach. This evening, we are very happy to take part in the launch of 4 Spotlight Shorts GA films. The goal of these Spotlight Shorts is to leverage filmmaking to explore challenges and raise awareness of harmful norms and practices which help drive gender-based violence within the context of family violence. By combining storytelling with images, music, dialogue, lighting, sound, and special effects, these films will help viewers relate deeply to the subject being presented, further conversations that examine prevailing norms and practices, lead to a better understanding of the consequences of intimate partner violence and child sexual abuse, and hopefully encourage survivors to seek help and support. These Spotlight Shorts, as we call them, are the product of a partnership between the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, and the Jamaica Film and Television Association, JAFTA. This partnership also supports youth mentorship and capacity building, as 4 project teams were assigned a mentee, a young person from a vulnerable community who had interest in filmmaking. This to help build skills and generate interest for the film industry. Now, this effort is very much aligned with the Spotlight Initiative's strategic objectives and the Government of Jamaica's commitment to stopping family violence and improving access for women and girls to essential, safe, and integrated gender-responsive services while engaging men and boys as part of the solution. As United Nations Resident Coordinator, I am proud to be associated with today's launch and wish to commend and congratulate the UNICEF team led by Mariko Kagoshima for supporting this initiative, as films can indeed have a powerful influence. Distinguished guest, you will have heard the numbers several times by now. The bottom line is that too many Jamaican women between the ages of 16 and 64 will over their lifetime experience physical and sexual violence. In fact, it is now believed that gender-based violence represents the most important hurdle to achieving gender equality in Jamaica. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has not helped. The latest global figures from UN Women confirm that during the COVID-19 pandemic, level of violence against women and girls have increased. Across 13 countries, almost half of all women reported that they or a woman they knew began to experience gender-based violence during the pandemic. Almost a quarter of women reported that household conflicts had become more frequent. A similar proportion said they felt less safe at home. We must view violence against women and girls as a global pandemic, and this cannot be repeated enough. This year, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in his message on marking the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Girls, noted that, and I quote, "Violence against women and girls continues to be the most pervasive and pressing human rights issue in the world today. It is both an abhorrent crime and a public health emergency, with far-reaching consequences for millions of women and girls in every corner of the globe." End quote. Ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations and its partners through the Spotlight Initiative in Jamaica is committed to this cause of improving the quality of life of women and girls who are plagued by the inhumane act of gender-based violence. We will continue working closely with the Government of Jamaica, implementing partners, and civil society organizations to strengthen the nation's response to gender-based violence. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening.
Thank you very much, Gary. And as you heard it, the Spotlight Initiative is a global effort to address gender-based violence, and it's funded by the European Union and implemented by the United Nations in close collaboration with a range of civil society partners and other stakeholders, JAFTA being one of them. In Jamaica, Spotlight focuses on 3 priority areas. They are intimate partner violence, child sexual abuse, and discrimination against vulnerable groups. You may wonder, it's a global effort. What is it like here in Jamaica? Throughout the evening, I'm going to share some statistics with you. And first, I want to tell you that in Jamaica, it is at epidemic proportions. 25% of Jamaican women report having experienced physical violence by a male partner, and 7.7% of all women report that they have been sexually abused by a male partner. All right, we're going to continue with our remarks, and this time we're going to be hearing from Frederick Eckfeld. He's Deputy Head of Mission and Head of Political Press and Information with the European Union.
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to do more to end violence in Jamaica, including family and gender-based violence. We've heard the statistics often enough. 1 in every 4 women in Jamaica has been physically or sexually abused in her lifetime. We must never forget that behind these numbers are real people who are being denied the right to live a life free from violence. The films you are about to see today tell the experiences of some of the survivors of gender-based and sexual violence. They paint a picture of the suffering and torment that people endure daily. It is our hope that they will nudge the silent majority to play a part in breaking the silence that surrounds family and gender-based violence. As we aim to build back better from the trauma of COVID-19, here's an opportunity to redouble our efforts to address some of the root causes of gender-based violence. This is necessary to guarantee equality between men and women in all spheres in a world where no one lives in fear of violence. The European Union and its member states are standing by women and girls everywhere. Through our Gender Action Plan 3, we're aiming to have by 2025, 85% of all the European Union's new external actions across all sectors contributing to gender equality and women's empowerment. Additionally, worldwide, the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative has helped 650,000 women and girls prevent or address violence against them. The initiative has also educated 880,000 men and boys on positive masculinity, nonviolent conflict resolution, and parenting. In Jamaica, the Spotlight Initiative is working in partnership with the government and civil society to achieve the results that Dr. Kony mentioned earlier. The partnership with JAFTA to produce these short films is important because we understand very well the role of culture and culture agents in helping to sensitize and mobilize varied audiences about issues such as gender equality and women's empowerment. We thank the survivors for sharing their stories and congratulate the creatives who brought them to life. I am sure they will provide much food for thought.
Thank you very much, Frederick. What a combination this evening. You know, it's the idea that creative storytelling has a lot of power, and that's what Spotlight Shorts JA is about, to educate and enlighten people, to provoke conversations, to help people examine their beliefs, and to encourage survivors to seek support. The project harnesses the outstanding talent of our local filmmaking industry to share real-life stories of survivors of gender-based violence. And let me tell you, a lot of our survivors can't find that voice that they need, the voice they hope they would have to share, and this evening you're going to be hearing them, and that's such a powerful thing. All the survivors were closely involved in the film production, and they wanted to share their stories because they want to help others. And I'm saying it's a powerful combination because we have a ministry that combines both things, the Ministry of Culture, the Minister of Gender, and so now we're going to be hearing from the Honourable Minister, Olivia Grange, MPCD, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport.
Mr. Frederick Eckfeldt, EU Representative, Dr. Gary Connell, UN Resident Coordinator, Delia Harris, our host, specially invited guests. I greet you as the Minister with responsibility for gender affairs as we join in observing the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. In line with this year's theme, Safer Spaces for Women and Girls, my ministry, through the Bureau of Gender Affairs, remains committed to working with local and international development partners to provide greater protection for women and girls. The Women's Health Survey revealed that 1 in 5 Jamaican women is sexually abused before 18 years old. 1 in 4 women in Jamaica is abused by an intimate partner. The majority of victims will not seek help unless necessary. Through these findings, the National Strategic Action Plan to eliminate gender-based violence was developed to prevent gender-based violence, improve services for victims, and laws to address perpetrators. We are indeed pleased that this year marks 1 year since the opening of Jamaica's first national shelter under the National Shelter Program. We will also be opening 2 regional shelters, increasing opportunities for victims and survivors of gender-based violence to regain social and economic stability. We also continue to work to strengthen service delivery. Events over the remaining 16-day period of activism will include national training for first-level responders, activities for International Day of Persons with Disabilities, media launch for National Gender-Based Violence Hotline and Referral Pathway on International Human Rights Day, tour of shelters and empowerment sessions with survivors to close out IDIVOIR 2021 on December 11. On November 25, for International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, we intensified our push to put the spotlight on domestic violence. We aired a special program featuring a survivor of domestic violence who shared her story in the hope that it can help other women. I want to commend UNICEF and the Jamaica Film and Television Association on coordinating the Spotlight Shorts JA project, which will no doubt help to raise awareness. I want to say thanks to the European Union, the United Nations, and the local Spotlight Initiative coordinating team. Through your efforts, we have made considerable strides since launching the Spotlight Initiative. As we watch this evening's short films, let us all renew our commitment to put the spotlight on gender-based violence. Let us all play our part. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Grange. Once again, a warm welcome to everyone who's with us here tonight, those of us who are here physically at the drive-in, and for the persons who are joining us online, welcome, welcome, welcome. A special welcome to State Minister Orlando Terrelong, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, all representatives of UN agencies and civil society organizations who work on the Spotlight Initiative, our EU ambassadors and honorary consuls, and the Spotlight Shorts projects teams, directors, producers, writers, cast and crew. You know, it says it takes a community to raise a child. It also takes a community to look out for, protect, teach, and support all of its members, including those who are most at risk. Much of UNICEF Jamaica's work under the Spotlight Initiative is done through civil society organizations. These organizations are reaching communities physically and virtually in the face of a global pandemic. I want to name some of them: Children First, E for Life, Fight for Peace, Parenting Partners Caribbean, Peace Management Initiative, Rise Life Management, and Women's Media Watch Jamaica. They are our implementing partners working with women and girls, men and boys, administrators, teachers, coaches, athletes, students, and parents in 11 communities across 4 parishes. Our CSO partners and communities serve above and beyond the call of duty for Spotlight. They have successfully reimagined and implemented school-based interventions during the physical closure of schools. They retooled and delivered community engagement in the face of strict protocols and ever-changing restrictions on social gatherings. They have been supporting communities struggling to cope with the economic, mental, and physical effects of this unprecedented crisis. They've had to navigate wider crime and violence as they work in vulnerable communities, and they have not been spared the impact of that violence. Tonight, we pay tribute to the civil society organizations who make Spotlight a reality. Please turn your attention to the screen. shows. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. In October and early November of this year, the 4 selected Spotlight Shorts JA projects went into principal photography, applying the pandemic protocols and navigating the curfews in place. The 4 films were shot over a period of 2 days with highly committed project teams and cast and crew who believed in the cause against gender-based violence. With help from some of UNICEF's CSO partners who work on the Spotlight initiative in communities, each production was also assigned a young mentee from a community who took part as a production assistant to learn about working on a film set under the guidance of the team's production manager, director, and/or producer. The behind-the-scenes video is a snapshot of set life of each project, featuring interviews with the project producers, directors, and writers, and the project mentees, as well as interviews from UNICEF Jamaica and JAFTA, all geared to shine a spotlight on the Spotlight Initiative, the power of filmmaking, and united fight against gender-based violence that the Spotlight Shorts JA stands for. Immediately following the behind-the-scenes video, we're going to have a short 10-minute intermission. So we're going to ask you to use that time to redeem your complimentary beverage and popcorn, or just take a photo in one of the 2 designated photo areas. Come on, what are selfies for? And please remember to observe COVID protocols. Wear your mask, sanitize at the sanitization stations we have around, and keep your physical distance. But now, ladies and gentlemen, here's some behind the scenes.
The Spotlight Initiative is a global effort to address gender-based violence. It is funded by the European Union and it is implemented by United Nations agencies who work in close collaboration with a range of civil society organizations and other stakeholders. Spotlight looks at 3 key priority areas: child sexual abuse, intimate partner violence, and discrimination against vulnerable groups. Spotlight seeks to address changes in laws, policies, programs, institutions, services for survivors of gender-based violence, and importantly, the attitudes, the cultural norms, the social norms, the practices that we know perpetuate this kind of violence. We have 25% of Jamaican women who have reported physical violence at the hands of a male partner, and we have girls under 18 who make up 56% of all reported rape cases. This is a serious problem that we have. Spotlight Shorts is a storytelling project. It is coordinated by UNICEF in collaboration with the Jamaica Film and Television Association, JAFTA. We really wanted to harness the creative, amazing talent that we have in our local filmmaking industry, and we wanted to tell real stories about the experiences of survivors. So the result that you see in the films, it's tragic, it's intense, it's emotional, it's disturbing, but the films also reveal a lot of real bravery and a lot of hope. We chose the medium of film because it really has a value unlike any other. So we see news stories, but we can't access the real-life experiences that are behind the headlines and behind what we read. The docudrama format really brings us into the experience in a way that's very close and emotional and compelling, and it stays with you. It lingers, it burns, it agitates, it gets you to think about the issues and to talk about the issues in a way that another medium perhaps would not achieve.
Action! Hey, presents time! Run now!
What I love about the story is that it's real life. When I first heard it from Rhonda, who is the subject of the film, I was like completely taken aback with her personality and her story, because her story itself is like a movie. And what stuck out to me about her story, which is the most controversial aspect, is when she just out the gate said, "I don't believe in women empowerment." So that took me by surprise. I was very humbled to hear her explanation though, when she told me that power isn't something that you can take from someone, it's not something you can give. Her philosophy is that we remind women of their power, and that it's something that they either didn't know was there or that they're giving, but it's always there.
I think that the story is beautiful, just the way that Rhonda interprets it, to believe that you cannot empower people. Power is within, so it's just to unleash that power.
I wanted to find my voice as a producer-director, and I did that through some workshops that I did, recognizing what kind of stories I want to tell. And so when the call came out for a story about gender-based violence against women and children, I thought, this would be a good project to be a part of, because there is still the presence of gender-based violence and abuse of children, and people are not able to be themselves, and it's unfortunate. But what I see now is that people are now listening, people are willing to understand and show some more empathy, and I want to be that vehicle to help people to understand and show more empathy.
I had been writing for some time about trauma and women's issues. I want people to feel responsible as a part of society. I think we are to blame. I guess I wanted the viewer to think about things and ponder after watching about how they treat others, and also, if you're on the receiving end, how to identify with something that is taboo and not talked about but might be happening to you. And I think that's the beauty of storytelling, because it unifies us in a way.
Lights on set! David, what we're doing next is 16 when Renee comes out to send the voice note. This is the next day.
Yeah, this is when she gets to the car.
Yes.
We have a story here that not only details someone's abuse, but also someone who was not cognizant of the abuse, and how they felt that they should have protected their sibling. For victims, for family members of victims, you're not alone. There are others, there's support, and there's help to be found.
The inspiration for this came from a letter from a real-life victim of gender-based violence, and that's where I drew the inspiration from to create this story. I want you to take from this film that you can do something. There's something that you can do, and you can raise awareness. And if you're a victim, I know it's hard, but there will come a time where you can open up to persons, and through your testimony you can inspire some kind of change.
Gender-based violence is real. There are persons within our society that create a lot of atrocities towards young people, especially our girls and women, and we want persons to look keenly into this and to really stand up and to really call for change.
And action.
The message that I want the audience to take away from this story is we can overcome unbelievable difficulties if we just have faith and we really put ourselves in a position to overcome. With Delmarine, she's a true inspiration, somebody who's truly went through what we would consider hell, something that a lot of us could never survive. And she's not only surviving, she's trying to help other people go, overcome the same adversity.
The message that I'd like the audience to take from this story is, despite it being so specific, it's her story, but there's things to take from it. It's a lot of bringing awareness to the issue of gender violence, overall domestic abuse, about sexual abuse, and sort of just shine a spotlight, if you will.
I'm the founder of an organization called Girls First International, and we basically help to bridge the needs of girls who are vulnerable to victimization, particularly sexual victimization. And so I came in contact with Delmarine through some of the outreach activities. Knowing Delmarine's story and knowing the objectives of Spotlight Shorts JA, it seemed like the perfect match. And so I would say her story pretty much inspired us wanting to present this to the world. All the survivors who are involved in Spotlight Shorts are helping other people. They wanted to tell their stories so that survivors who are out there could also seek help, and this is extremely important. At the heart of Spotlight Shorts is the idea that creative storytelling has power. It has the power to inspire people to seek information that maybe they don't have about this issue, to encourage survivors to get help, to help people to examine their beliefs around this issue, and to provoke conversations that we need to have. So we are doing Spotlight Shorts at a national level to have a conversation about these issues, and we are also screening Spotlight Shorts at community level where we can facilitate discussions so we can probe these issues and learn more about why gender-based violence is perpetuated the way it is in Jamaica.
Thank you, Spotlight UNICEF, for this opportunity, which can make me be a better man in the future.
I want to say thank you to Spotlight Initiative. They have a great team.
Thank you for trusting our vision, for funding our vision.
Thanks to JAFTA and UNICEF, big up yourself, because you have given me this opportunity along with other creatives to share.
Thank you, Spotlight Initiative and UNICEF, for giving us the opportunity to help to tell these kinds of stories.
Good evening, everyone. We are here on the red carpet for the official screening for the Spotlight Initiative in association with JAFTA, Spotlight Short JA. I'm here with
Novia Condell.
And we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening. I'm sure everybody's excited and ready to participate, watch the screenings, and get motivated about what they'll see. So Novia, tell us what you're looking forward to most.
I'm looking forward to two things, really. Just to see and absorb in this format the amazing power of people who have overcome tremendous challenges, people who have been victims of gender-based violence, who can now call themselves survivors, who have done amazing things to overcome the situation. And I'm looking forward to seeing the amazing work of our Jamaican filmmakers, the quality that exists here, the passion that has gone into these projects. And I am just overwhelmed, and it is great because I'm part of the team that has brought this to fruition, and I can tell you all our hearts are swelling with pride, and we stand with the survivors of gender-based violence. We are proud to bring this to public attention, and we are going to just continue in pushing the work of our CSO partners, of all of the UN partners who have been working so hard on ensuring the full implementation of the Spotlight Initiative.
Well, thank you, Novia. It was great speaking with you, and I'm sure everyone is as proud as you are and as excited. It touches on a lot of serious things that are happening, and it's good for us to shine light on these things through film, which is sometimes not necessarily the pathway that we use, right? Exactly. All right, well, thank you, and I'll invite some other persons to come up and tell us a little bit more about what they're doing here, what they're looking forward to. And tell us, what's your name?
I'm Shanice Phillips.
Are you excited to be here today?
Of course.
What are you looking forward to most?
I'm actually looking forward to the work that was done by the mentees. I'm particularly proud of Chantel Blake, who was recommended by the Children First Agency, so I'm really, really excited to see what she works on.
Any film in particular that you're looking to see?
No, I'm equally excited for all.
All right, great. Thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoy. We have a special guest with us right now. This is Janique, who was involved in one of the films. Tell us a little bit about what you are most excited about tonight.
Well, I'm excited to see the film. I really enjoyed it. Behind the scene was good, so I am looking forward to seeing the production of everything and everyone's film tonight.
Is this your first time seeing it?
Yes, this is my first time. I'm pretty nervous.
Oh, don't be. So who are you here with?
Okay, so I'm here with my family, and I'm here with the team, Nadine, Milin, Imani, my friends, everybody, you know?
For those who don't know, tell us what film that you're in and what they can look forward to.
Boy, girls, and all the rest. It's a pretty interesting one, so just stay tuned to see it. I don't want to make any spoilers.
Okay, fair enough. All right, thank you for joining us. All right, the red carpet is pretty busy, so we have another person with us here. Please tell us your name and what are you most excited about tonight?
I'm the Karok Folk, and I'm looking forward to most of the short films tonight. I love all of them, just by the little log lines that I've read.
Anyone in particular? I know you said you love all of them. Anyone in particular that you're looking most forward to?
No, but I was only 12. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Okay. All right, and what do you feel about this initiative? Do you think it's impactful, and what is your own view of it?
Well, I actually work under the initiative for the Children First Agency, and I've been on the interventions, and it's really an eye-opening experience, and I've learned so much, and I really think I am seeing the impact that it's making so far.
Well, good to speak to you. Thanks. What else? Yes, we have more persons coming up. Hello, you look fabulous. Can you give me a turn?
Thank you.
Tell us what you are looking forward to most tonight, and how do you feel about this initiative taking place?
Well, first, I just want to say to the world and to the universe, my name is Imani Edwards, and I'm here to support my member as a chosen family and as a black trans woman living in Jamaica. I just want to say that I am also a victim of GBV violence, and I just want to say that existing is not a sin, but the real sin is hurting people in general and hurting LGBTQ and trans and non-binary people. And I'm looking forward here to just educate myself, and to learn and to also share the work and to have my trans and non-binary sisters, educate themselves about what's happening in society and not be afraid, to speak up, and to be bold and to be yourself and to live your life and to be true. Because the fact is that we as black trans people that are living here in Jamaica, we're facing a lot. And the work is heavy. But me, for one person, as a creative and as an artist, I am here to do the work. I will continue on doing the work, for my trans brother and trans sisters. And I just want to say, J Flag and also Transwave and United Trans Creative and the House of Blessings, these are collectives that are doing the work together for change. And it's happening. And I'm just grateful and happy to be here, and to be bold. And I'm wearing this design by Tommy. It's a design from Tommy Carey, an original Jamaica. I'm looking fabulous and I'm looking beautiful. And I love love my sister Kim Savage, love Nas, love everyone at Transwave and J Flag. Love you all. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Love how.
And I just want to say I love you, Shade, big up Connect. And I also want to say thank you, Melina. I want to thank, what's her name again? Nadia. And I want to thank Melina. And we have some art shows and stuff coming up soon, so you guys need to also come out and support Marina Burnell at 10K coming soon. So guys, you need to come out and
I love it. Powerful.
I need to do the joy before I go.
Do the joy.
I need to do it because it's all in one. Bam.
Bam. Love it. Thank you. That was a joy. Our next person is a special guest who is a co-director and co-producer for one of the films we'll be watching tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and also about the film that you were a part of. How was that experience?
Hi, Taj. I'm Stephanie Lyle, and as you said, I co-produced, co-directed along with Frank O'Neill. Big up our screenwriter, Nicanor Gordon. Both are not here tonight, but we worked on the film Kindle, a story of a woman on fire. Powerful story of survival. You're about to see it, but the wonderful survivor is also here, Delmarine Williams. And I'm just very grateful for her story to get this platform tonight and beyond tonight.
So you're accompanied by a gentleman here. Can you introduce him?
Good evening. My name is Demar Lyle. I'm just here to support my wife. She was the co-producer of one of the films, and I'm really just here to look. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it on the big screen. You know, been there from the inception, on set. So I'm just really excited to see it all come together and premiere. I'm here tonight.
Awesome. Great speaking with you. How was your experience on set and just being very integral in making this come to life?
Oh, wow. So, you know, I wore 3 hats on set because I actually am also in the film. I had the honor, really, of just being able to portray all of those talents that God has given me. But it was very, very meaningful for me. One, Delmarine is my friend, my sister. I have so much respect for her, love her, and to be representing her is just a complete honor. And yeah, so it was intense, but amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, team. As we wrap up right here, I hope you enjoy the films. They're going to be amazing. You have 4 beautiful films to just take in and watch. Good night.
A pretty exciting red carpet. I mean, you can imagine what's next. The moment that we're all here for and that we've been waiting for, the Spotlight Short Films JA. Now it's time to unveil the 4 Spotlight Shorts JA films that are both a work of art and a work of heart. The films will be shown back to back in this order, so there'll be no breaks in between. Absolute Power, Boy, Girl, and All the Rest, I Was Only 12, and Kindle, Story of a Woman on Fire. For those watching online, please note the films are rated T16, so they should be watched by persons 16 years and older. I want to also give you a trigger warning. The content of the films may be difficult for some viewers. Please remember, for those watching online, that UNICEF Jamaica has provided contact information for professional resources. And for those who are with me here at the drive-in, you can speak with the 2 persons wearing black Spotlight Shorts t-shirts with the Spotlight pins. Just before we begin, we also want to invite you to mark your calendars and join us on Wednesday, December 8th at 9:30 p.m. on TVJ as I host a Spotlight special exploring what drives gender-based violence. This will be a 1-hour discussion program with both survivors and GBV experts, using clips from the Spotlight Shorts films to examine the social and cultural norms that perpetuate GBV. So now, ladies and gentlemen, here they are: Absolute Power, Boy, Girl, and All the Rest, I Was Only 12, and Kindle, Story of a Woman on Fire. Enjoy.
I was 27 when it happened. I guess I thought I was mature at that age, but the truth is I was not. It was a different environment than I was ever exposed to before.
You were in the interview meeting, right?
Yes, I was.
Office manager?
Yes, I was.
For someone who had never been exposed to that level of attention,
New girl, welcome.
I took it at face value.
Have a good day.
You too.
There were people who kind of warned me, but he seemed to be a very pleasant person.
I guess all good things come to an end, huh?
To be continued.
Remember, you have a meeting at 3.
Thank you.
This is where we went from friends to becoming lovers. After finishing work, he was very caring. We entered the house, and he had warmed the water for me to bathe and spread out my nightdress on the bed, all of which I took as his care and his consideration for me.
Close your eyes, darling. questions about this diary, and I want you to answer me honestly. Not if you understand. Dear diary.
He started to question me about the contents of my diary.
So I'm just another option to you?
No, babe. It's just my private thoughts. And you're misinterpreting it.
Wrong answer.
There are things in your life that you bury unconsciously and refuse to deal with. I lived in a house where my father was abusive. There was a certain level of acceptance of that behavior. I remember the blood. I had never even looked at how deeply it had affected me. Once he came to my house with a friend and I refused to open the front door for him.
I could kill you right now and laugh at your funeral.
I realized that he could make good on that threat. It's hard now to imagine that this nightmare went on for almost 3 years. The last time he beat me, I couldn't even remember what it was for because it had become so commonplace. It was the first time he had ever hit me in a place where somebody could see that I was being beaten.
You see what he did there?
There was no remorse.
That's gonna leave a mark. Cover that up with makeup, will you?
I did as he suggested, but I was late for work. Something about me made my supervisor realize what had happened. I had not even realized that my supervisor probably knew that I was in an abusive relationship.
I can't tell you what to do. And I can't tell you how to live your life. But this, whatever this is that is happening now, it has to end here. And if you don't leave now, you may not leave alive.
I started to think about my mother and what she experienced, and I felt like history was repeating itself.
Morning, Robinson.
Oh, God. Miss Glenn, you again? Personally, I suggest I go home and make up things with the house, man.
Listen to me. If you don't come with me to my house now to leave this man, you're going to find him dead later. So you choose.
I remember that the sun was hot, that my father was upstairs tossing my mother's clothes into the road. I believe it takes a village to raise a child. I also believe it takes a village to kill a woman. I remember almost like an out-of-body experience that we were never going to be a family again and that we would never go back home. Life is a series of unending circles. As I look back on that moment, I realized that I have a mouth, so I started to talk. The power that I had was to speak my truth, and that's what I did. I started to tell people he was beating me.
So you just had to tell people I was beating you?
What could be more arrogant than that? And my response to that was,
Did I lie?
He had absolutely no response. When I was 40 years old, I went back to school. By the time I was 50 years old, I had 3 degrees, and today I am completing a 4th. I promised myself that I would never be in a position where I felt that I would lose my sense of myself. In 2018, I started a consulting firm that targets female entrepreneurs because I believe that women have the power to create their own generational wealth. I don't believe in the word empowerment. It means that if somebody gives you power, then they could take it away. Nobody takes away my power ever again. I have absolute power.
Holding my head again, making my way through crowded thoughts. Sometimes it's hard to get out of it. Always used to lay you clean up the messes, down on my knees. Thought I couldn't stand up on my own. Turns out sometimes you're stronger alone. Bringing out the fight, yeah, bring on all the lightning. 'Cause I'm looking for a hero, look inside the mirror. I found one, oh, carry the hurt when it gets too hard. Pick it up, dust it off. When I fall down 11, I get up 12. Don't need nobody else. Yeah, I can save myself.
Hearing my aunt's voice echoing to everybody in the family, he's queer, you know, see him more fishy, him gone the other way, he's too flamboyant. I want to sister that. I am Danique, and this is my story. When I was 13, I wanted to fit in with the crowd. I wanted to be a boy. As a boy, you should do a lot of sports. You should be a boy. I just wanted to blend, not to stand out, but to be one of the boys. That led me to staying back after school for a football match. Sports isn't my thing. I don't like football. But because I wanted to fit in, I decided to stay back to, watch a match. And in staying back, I had to take the bus. And walking to the bus park, I took a shortcut because I'm the only person walking, and my mom is not going to come for me. In walking, a car drove down, and they were asking for direction. And in asking for direction, I heard an accent, so I know it wasn't a Jamaican, because where they wanted to go, I was like, it's around the corner, and if you're Jamaican, you would know, it's around the corner. As a 13-year-old, you're not really thinking about people who want to harm you or to do things to you. So an adult come asking for direction, I wasn't thinking about the wrong. I wasn't thinking about being hurt. He asked me, where am I going? And I'm like, I'm heading to the bus park. I'm going up that direction. He's like, so, you're going that direction. I'm driving, I can just take you there and then you just show me where exactly I'm going. I got in and I just felt somebody cover my nose and mouth with a rag. And then that was it. I woke up back on the other side of Half a Tree near a bank at the bus stop. My insides were hurting, burning. It was on fire. It was so much going on. I didn't know if I should cry. I didn't know if I should walk away. I didn't know. I didn't have underwear on. I was just out of it. I didn't know who to tell. I didn't know how to express this. It was difficult. What would I tell my mother? I feared my mommy. I didn't want to share certain things with her. My mommy was a Pentecostal Christian woman, and my daddy was a Rastafarian. I was in between when it comes on to sharing to my parents because some things I couldn't tell them. I would just get beaten for anything and everything. I don't get a good grade, beaten. If I backtalk my sister, beaten. You know, like everything I would get beaten for. With mom, she was always aggressive, so sharing issues that bothers me, I thought I was just adding to her frustration. The church was heavily impacted in her life and embedded with how a man should be, how a man should act and what he should do. 3 years after the incident, I was still feeling pain. I broke down and I'm like, Mommy, I got raped. And she said, where just say? And I said, I got raped and I didn't tell you and it's causing pain. It's like it triggered something in her and she continued beating me. I was thinking in the moment, why? I couldn't understand why I was put in this position. But what I do regret is staying back after school for a football match, for something I don't even sit down today and watch. If I didn't, I would have gone on the bus, I would have reached home, I would have been safe, wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't have been in a state where I'm uncomfortable when I'm being myself. I'm at a space where I'm comfortable, I'm expressive more than how I've been in the past. I'm with my family who supports me, loves me unconditionally, gives me encouragement, and makes me feel at home. They provide a safe space when I'm out in the public. They give me a sense of belonging and show me compassion when I need it. I am happy, I'm fully expressive, I'm working on myself. I'm now creating a space where I can now own my business. I can talk to somebody when something is happening, and I'm just a full bag of Skittles.
You're his lawyer. What do you mean there's nothing that you can do? Daddy is a pastor. Well, there must be somebody that I can speak to about this. All right, hold on. Let me write this number down. Hold on. Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if you've ever thought about how much you took from me. I'm not sure how you ate, how you slept, or how you survived when I was dying because of you. I was only 12.
Your mother called her to come inside. Come now, cat. You know that I will never hurt you. Just do this for that. Just do this for that. Please. Please.
I wondered why the hell I was being asked to look, touch, and stroke that thing. And what I thought was the end was just the beginning.
Kat, where are you? I found this letter. It says you wrote it, but the things it's saying, call me back.
I spent my evenings trying to evade, running and jumping the veranda wall and hiding under my bed. Still, you always threatened me that you'd kill me if I ever ran, or if I ever told mommy, or if I ever went to the police. It was your job to protect me and everybody else. But I became the protector, and it was you whom the family needed to be protected from. I couldn't let my sisters walk on the street while people stare and criticize and judge and laugh and chastise. I couldn't. So I decided to bear the pain and the shame for everybody. And yet you had the nerves to put your filthy, unrighteous hands on me when you saw me talking to any male. What was I? Your bitch or your daughter?
Where are you? Pick up the phone. We need to talk. Just help me to understand this. You know what? I'm coming to find you. How could you not know? I thought he loved her more. She was his favorite.
But you saw me leave her room later nights.
Maybe she had a bad dream. And you were consoling her.
You saw the signs. You heard the sounds. I was terrified of him.
I didn't know. I thought...
I had to face him all alone. So I thought then that if I wasn't good enough for my father to love and care for, why should anybody else love and care for me? I grew to hate you. I hated me. I hated living. I thought of killing you. I thought of killing myself.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Like, I should have been there to protect you. I should have known. And if only...
It's okay. It's okay. You're here now.
My name is Delmaureen Morris Williams. I am a survivor of domestic abuse, childhood sexual abuse, human trafficking, sex trafficking, and prostitution. This young man came in and he was very polite, very, shy and timid, and so we kind of developed a sort of a friendship before we became intimate. And I thought that I had finally found somebody who loved me, because he was the first person to actually say to me, "I love you." We continued in the relationship until about 2 years in the relationship. He became very abusive. He was so jealous. But I thought that the jealousy was a good thing because this man loves me. He would hit me and then he would say, "I love you, and that is the reason why I hit you, so that you can understand that I love you and not to do this again." And I would try my best not to do whatever it is that I had done for him not to hit me, but there was always something new. And of course, about an hour after that, he came, "I love you and I am sorry and it's not going to happen again." Of course, I believe, because this man loves me. One day, I wanted to go somewhere. I think I wanted to visit my mom. And he was saying, "No." And we ended up in a huge fight, and he held the cutlass, the machete, to my neck. And he was like, "If you go through the door, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill your children." And I was saying to myself that I can take the licks, but when it comes to my children, you don't threaten my children. And I pushed him. I said, "You're going to have to kill me first before you get to my boys." And I took my boys. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I had to leave. So this older man thought that he would not come and violate his house. And so he said, "Of course, you can go and stay in the shed." He would come to the house. Like every night, he would still come to the house. I could smell him because he smoked. There was a coconut tree near to the house. And he would sit under the coconut tree and he would smoke, and he would listen to see if anybody else was in the house beside me and the boys. One Friday after working, got the boy something to eat, took a shower, and was inside the house, and I heard somebody calling. One of the guys from the construction site who the boss had given the pay for me. And then I heard my the expletives and just cursing and, saying that I'm inside there with a man and what we're doing in there and just how he's going to kill all of us. He basically used his hand to pull off the window and proceeded to throw some stones. And I was trying to shield my boys, to protect them. And so he used his hand to pull away like the siding of the house to where a part of my bed was exposed. He had used a lighter to light the sheet that was on the bed. When I looked, I saw that my bed was on fire. I jumped on the bed to stomp on the sheet and to out it. I didn't realize that I had gotten burned because I was like in survival mode. He was standing outside looking through the part of the board that he had torn apart, and I was inside standing on the bed looking at him. And I knew that I had to get him calm because he was going to try something else. He was, looking at me and trembling, and I just called him. I said, "Come." I just put his head on my lap. And about half an hour after that, he just walked away. And while he was leaving, I reassured him that everything was going to be fine and he did not to worry about anything because I didn't want him to come back. It is very important for victims to leave any abusive situation. It does not get better. It does not get better. It gets worse. There is a promise of it will never happen again, but it does. It continues. And even if they are genuine in apologizing or saying, "I'm going to try my best for this not to happen again," take it from somebody who has been there, it will happen again.
All right, so there you had it, our 4 films. Very important. We've just taken in a lot of content, people. And if you're like me and you've just seen it, it really was a lot to absorb. And so we know it may be triggering or overwhelming for some viewers. So this is another reminder. For those watching online who need help, I'm encouraging you, just reach out. Reach out. That's just the first step. UNICEF Jamaica has provided information, contact information, and you can also send a private message. For those attending here at the drive-in, there are 2 persons here who can connect you to professional support. They're wearing black Spotlight shorts, t-shirts with Spotlight pins, so you can find them in the primary photo area. So right now we're going to go into our Q&A segment, and this is going to be done in 2 ways. I'm going to be talking to director producers from the films, along with Spotlight resource person who's Novia Condell. So we're going to break them up a bit. So the first 2 films we're going to be talking about is Absolute Power, and joining me is director Jamar McFarlane and producer Jolene Kenyon. Hi, Jamar and Jolene.
Hi.
Nadine Rollins is with me as well, director, producer, Boy, Girl, and all the rest.
Hello.
And I have Novia Condell, health specialist, UNICEF Jamaica. Hi, guys. First of all, congratulations on the job. Well done.
Thank you.
Jamar, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah.
Wow. What were your first thoughts when you heard the story?
My first thoughts were, wow. I was completely silent because the survivor, she's very strong-willed. She's very, expressive. So just her telling the story was very compelling for me. So when she spoke, I saw the movie, literally. So it was a powerful story, and we spoke for a couple hours, almost hours, because of how we connected.
Yeah.
And so we just really took to each other, and it made the process, smoother.
So, and I'm curious, what drives the decision? Because it happened over a period of time.
Right.
So what drove the decisions in this is what I'm going to include because this is what's going to be most powerful?
That was the hardest part because we had to cut so much. The film is like a quarter of what it could be.
It could be,
but
yes.
we went bare bones in terms of what had the most impact, what Rhonda definitely wanted to be said, what her message was, and what is the most important. Because you can put all the frills you want, but what is most important to the story? And she, with her strong voice, let us know.
Yeah.
There was never any question of what should be there and what should cut.
She knew what she wanted to be included.
This is her story, so she directed it and wrote it as much as we did.
Yeah, and I said Jolene nodding her head and saying yes.
Yeah,
Jolene, what was the experience like for the cast and crew coming through this? Yeah.
It was difficult at first for the mains, that is, for the support. We pulled on most of our friends that we knew that are in the industry that we knew had the talent, but for the mains it was chaotic at first. We casted Rhonda like 3 times and it fell through, and I want to believe she was God chosen because Aisha, I think she did such a tremendous job.
Yeah.
Rhonda was so pleased. She's blown away. She said, "This is my story. You did it justice. This is it."
Novia, one of the things, and you heard it from Jamar, is that Rhonda herself is a very strong person and has a strong voice. And that counters what many people have in their mind as a survivor of gender-based violence. They feel gender-based violence victims are weak. Gender-based violence victims are just people who can't do anything. But that's not Rhonda.
No, that's not Rhonda. That's not a lot of women
Yes.
who are going through, and a lot of girls who are going through situations of gender-based violence. It is something that, it affects women clearly, right, across the spectrum, across every socioeconomic group. And the fact of the matter is, and not just women, girls, and people among vulnerable populations and so on. And when you look at, like a Rhonda, nobody would dare to assume that could happen to someone like that.
Yeah.
But it's your neighbor, it's your sister, it's your mom. It can happen to anyone at any time. And this is really the situation that we find ourselves in, is that we have more than a quarter of our women who have actually been in situations where they have been victims of gender-based violence. We're looking at a situation where girls, more than half of the rape cases in Jamaica are girls under the age of 18. And so when you look at where we are as a country, as a nation, this is normal.
Yeah.
We have normalized this. Nobody bats an eye. Everybody say, is Rhonda business, is whomever's business. And so clearly it is something that we have to address as a nation because it is affecting how people express themselves.
Correct.
It's affecting how, women, girls, and folks who are among vulnerable populations are able to even report a situation, how they're treated when they try to report.
Correct.
And so the Spotlight Initiative has been trying to address this issue at several kinds of junctures, and really and truly I have to really congratulate our filmmakers. I'm so proud of the work that you've done, and you've helped to sort of expose it and make it a little easier for us to talk about. It's really hard for somebody to be this vulnerable, to talk about their own situation. But when we see it, we can talk about what Rhonda has been through, what Donique has been through, and so on.
We're getting into Donique. We're getting into Donique. We're getting into Donique. But one of the important things that you've said is in terms of community. We're seeing it, and this community was the workplace. It's happening right. So people tend to, I guess, block it in at home. It's what going in a people's house. I'm not in a people's house business. But it's your co-worker. Yeah. And it's everywhere. And in the case of Donique, Nadine, it's your child. Yeah. It's your child. And how difficult was that? Because I'm watching it and I'm thinking, when a child can't go to a parent and say, this has happened to me, that speaks to something in our society. Yeah. What was the experience for you?
Well, absolutely, I agree. I remember when I sat on the balcony with Donique and other persons of the LGBTQ community, and I heard all the stories. I must tell you that we were working on another project before the call came out for the Spotlight Initiative shorts, and so I know them. And so when it came up, I knew of these stories, and the stories are so complex. Gender-based violence is not, black and white. No. So with Donique's stories, it was so difficult to choose one. And of course, from a marginalized community, they really have it hard. And so it was very important for us to share this story. I called Million and I was like, Million, we need to write a story. And of course, I understand what you're saying. We had like pages, but we're only told 5 minutes. So thank you for the additional 3 minutes, so that so we could share with others.
Yeah. And one of the things, and I think Novia spoke to it, is the ways in which silence empowers the perpetrators. In absolute power, the minute she spoke up, it removed this power. Right. But as a child and as members of the LGBTQ community in Jamaica, we tend to want to silence them when they experience violence.
Yeah, absolutely. Because with Donique's story, as you saw in the film, their family was actually tight knit. Yeah. They were a good family. They were okay,
Yes.
But it was just what society.
Good principles.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's just a societal norms or what we fit people in, and so the family, the mother being in a church and the father being Rastafarian, Donique was put in a position where they could not speak to them. There was no family member, and so. This is now the platform that, Donique and their team, they're doing an amazing job in telling their stories now. So we're so happy to be a part of that. So thank you. Yeah.
Novia, and what it does for me is it shifts the conversation. And I'm going to tell you what I mean. Whenever we come up against violence against the LGBTQ community, we put it back on the LGBTQ community, and we don't put it on the person who is committing the act of violence. And that's really where it belongs. Yeah. And it's the same thing in women. Why I'm hit you is why you do make him do you that. And so the LGBTQ community is made to feel that the reason you're being attacked is because of who you are. And so this is an important narrative coming out of UNICEF.
It's really critical. And I think that is one of the things that we really wanted to hit on. As a part of the Spotlight team, the UN agencies that are working to implement the Spotlight initiative, UNICEF leads on addressing social norms. What is it that people believe that continues to drive this issue, this problem in our homes? We're addressing the issue is family violence.
Yeah.
And how is it in close-knit, loving families, these things are allowed to happen? So, this is it. This is it exactly, is that when, and a lot of our girls will tell you, look, I was raped and somebody go ask me what I was wearing, as if it's my fault. So you're quite right, Delia. This is an issue that keeps going back to what did you do to trigger that action, instead of looking around at how we raise people in our country. What are the issues around power dynamics? How is it that we are seeing each other? What is my perception of you? And what is it that is at the heart of the idea that this is okay?
Yeah. Nadine, the idea behind having Donique tell his own story.
Yes.
Tell me about that, because it could have been, let me get an actor who can channel Donique, but instead we had Donique telling Donique's story, which was very powerful. So that was one of the things. And tell me also about the flower motif. It was very interesting to me.
Okay. First of all, I just want to thank Donique, if this is a camera I'm looking into. Thank you, Donique. Donique, you are very brave, and I applaud you. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. First of all, Donique was not at all shy in being the face and voice of their own story.
Good.
So when we asked Donique to share with us if he would go on camera, Donique said, sure, no problem. So because we wanted to have a top and tail and, a proper arc in a story, and, so Malin, the writer, had meetings upon meetings with Donique. And so we wanted to really apply kind of an art house experimental display of this film, showing Donique as an orchid. Donique likes purple. We're in purple tonight, and also likes orchid. So Malin is such a gem. She wrote an orchid in the piece.
Yeah.
And so with Garrett or the DOP style of camera work, and Nicole, I just want to big up Nicole Marsh for, we did not harm any orchid in this film. we got artificial orchids, and Nicole is so amazing. We wanted to show visually, we wanted a visceral, emotional connection with the audience with this piece and the ball. And Jakeem, young Donique, was just amazing, and I just want to thank his mother. And I must say that when we were trying to get a young Donique, it was very difficult because of society and the concept and the story. Parents were okay, but they were not okay with their son being in the film. And I just want to thank Jakeem's mom for allowing us to show Jakeem portraying Donique as a young person.
Yeah. We have to speak to the other group of filmmakers, but Jamar, for the persons who were here tonight, for those who are watching online, what are some of the things that you want them to take away from this experience of absolute power?
Some of what you mentioned, Rhonda really wanted to hammer home that because she's from Trinidad, back in her hometown, she's not the typical what you'd expect of a survivor. She wanted it shown that she's in the corporate world. She comes from an upstanding family. They were well off, but it still happened to her. And she wanted to make sure survivors knew that you don't have to look any which way to be heard and to receive the kind of attention and care that you need. So that's one powerful message. And the other, for her, from the start, she said that we aren't empowering women here. We're reminding them of their power. We're getting them to remember what they may have given away or lost, but it's not something that they can ever fully lose.
Yes.
It's something that it's a fire that's there continuously. It may, come down to an ember, but you can always rise like a phoenix, and that's the story that she wanted to tell.
And that's extremely powerful. Janine, for yourself and the cast and the crew, what did you take away from the experience?
So it's the same that I learned. because the statistics was frightening, 1 in every 4, and that's just what has been reported. And for me, what I've learned personally is that I have to use my voice and my talent to let this be heard. Let more people be comfortable to report their experiences. And I want everyone, like in Jamaica, to make this a duty. Use your voice to help others. And for victims, the power lies within that can make you a survivor. Unleash that power.
Awesome. Nadine?
We have a responsibility as a nation to listen to our children, especially the children of the vulnerable groups,
Yes.
the LGBTQ plus community and
Yes.
other vulnerable groups. It's not
Yes.
just the LGBTQ
Yes,
community.
yes, yes.
We should listen. I know that, society and because of what it is and all of that, but we need to stop listening to the noise. It's too much. Listen to the inner self. We know what's right and we know what's wrong. So we need to listen to ourselves first and we know what to do next.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Novia, you're going to stick around with me, but for these 2 films, what were your takeaways? One of the things, and Jamar said it, was also the cycle of violence, that Rhonda would have grown up with it and not even realized that for herself, so many things became normalized that when it happened, she saw the triggers, but they were normal to her. So she didn't, and the red flags, so she didn't see them.
This is a very common issue. In fact, the research tells us that women, girls who have witnessed gender-based violence in the home are more likely to become victims.
Yes.
And boys who have witnessed gender-based violence in the home are more likely to become perpetrators. It is a cycle. It is a cycle that absolutely can be broken. And so this is really, I think, the power of what we're seeing here, what we saw in all those films, is that it can be broken and people can rise like a phoenix, and that the beauty of the flower inside of you, and I'm going to use all the metaphors, can come back. And the fact is that we have so much capacity in Jamaica. We have, you saw our tribute to our civil society partners.
Yes,
we
yes,
have some
yes.
people on the ground that are just, there are no words to tell of their passion and their commitment, and we really want to salute them, along with our survivors, along with our filmmakers here tonight. And yes, what we take away from it is that the cycle can be broken.
All right. Thank you, Novia. So we're going to thank you, Jamar, Jolene, and Nadine for that. Don't go away, and they have photo ops that need to happen outside with you guys and other things.
Thank you so much.
But thank you so much for speaking with me. And up next, we're going to speak to the filmmakers from I Was Only 12 and Kindle, Story of a Woman on Fire. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're still having a chat with the filmmakers from Spotlight Shorts JA, and Novia Condell is still with me from UNICEF. And joining me now is Frank O'Neill, co-director and producer. He's joining me via Zoom. Kindle, Story of a Woman on Fire. But with me in person is co-director producer Stephanie Lyle. Hey, Steph. Hey. And also Ryan Campbell, producer, I Was Only 12, and David Johnson, director, I Was Only 12. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'm going to start with Kindle, Story of a Woman on Fire. Frank, I asked the previous filmmakers, and I'm going to ask you as well. I know it was like 8 minutes. How did you decide what would have been the most powerful things to include in this short film?
Well, to be honest, the interview itself was 3 hours. And we had to carve out a specific story that Delmarine told that kind of, I feel, both me and Stephanie agreed, embraced the essence of what we could deliver in the time frame, and still kind of stay true to the fact that the Delmarine herself is so dynamic, and her whole experience was beyond what we could ever imagine. Mm-hmm. So that was just a specific event of a long line of events in her life that we tried to, pare down to have a quick impact.
Yeah. I know UNICEF had a workshop with the filmmakers prior to it happening. And one of the things that I saw, and I thought, when you saw it, I liked the delicacy in which it was handled, was that it doesn't happen overnight. Delmarine was in this relationship for a while before that aspect of the violence started showing itself. How important was that to you, that you could respond to a lot of the myths that exist about gender-based violence?
Well, the fact that she has experienced so much, I guess that, to be honest, that specific event
was just one of many.
Come again?
I said it was just one of many.
Yes, it was just one of many. Mm-hmm. And I think, truth be told, it really kind of gives an understanding of how powerful she is, because that was kind of like a turning point to some aspect of her realization of what her power is overall. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Stephanie, a lot of times people say, then why didn't they leave? What I mean, I don't also know why did it take so long. In this case, Delmarine did leave. And I think it shows that leaving is not as easy as you think. Absolute Power did the same. She literally her mom had to go get the police to help her to leave. So I'm asking you again, as a woman, listening to Delmarine's story, hearing some of the things that people talk about every day, how important was it to respond to that in the film?
Very important. People do cast a lot of different comments, a lot of opinions when they hear these stories of what women go through in the intimate partner relationship, violent situations. But the fact that it's so complex, and we were able to show that even if you've tried to leave, such as in the case of Delmarine, she tried to leave on several occasions, but there's so many layers. There's children in her case. She had children to think about, their safety, the threats, the intimidation, the psychological impact alone, but also just the physical limitations of just being able to leave. Mm-hmm. And those are plentiful. The kind of support that you have is also important. She had no family support of any great degree. And even within the community, people who knew the man, knew that he had been in relationships before and was abusive before, the support of the community wasn't as strong. As it should have been. Law enforcement, all of those different factors. And so women sort of feel forced to stay.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about visually how that happened. But Ryan, I want to speak to you. I Was Only 12. Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk to me again, about that experience for you.
So this is a quite an interesting experience because I've been carrying around the desire to create this short film for a few years now.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Why? Because I have first-hand experience actually with the survivor.
Mhm.
I met her in a previous life when I was working as an associate pastor.
Mhm.
And I met her through the circumstances that she came for counseling. And through that counseling relationship, I discovered that she was being abused by her father
Mhm.
at the time. She was an adult at that particular time, so the abuse would have happened before.
Mhm.
And so as a means to emotionally confront him, a part of what I asked her to do was to write a letter to her father and to entitle it Letter to My Father, Source of My Pain.
Mhm.
And so the movie that we have just watched is the outcome of that
Of that
particular
letter.
letter. Yeah.
Mhm. Novia, and I'm not skipping you, David, I'm coming back to you, but Novia, it speaks to the fact that a lot of times perpetrators are people that we know. It is the male partner, it is the father, the uncle, the brother, the cousin, and that's the challenge of addressing it, because in this case, it's hard to want to bring your father to justice, and it's hard to want to expose your family, as we heard in the letter.
And this is what perpetuates that cycle of silence
Yeah.
quite often. So we know that most often the perpetrator is known to the victim. It's not a stranger, it's not somebody that came off the road, or it's somebody that you know, and more than likely somebody close to you is very close to that person. And so they violate trust in family relationships. I mean, let's look at the young lady in that film. I was only 12. Going through this at the hands of your father.
Confusion.
The man that you should trust more than anybody else as a child. And unknown, I mean, amazingly unknown to your mother. And we have also seen this happen very often. A lot of the women that we work with through our civil society partners, these are the kinds of relationships that a lot of the men violate the trust. Very often they're partners with mom. And it's difficult to raise that issue with your mother.
Yes.
And think of the power that that person wields over a child.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, and it's, listen, sometimes people say, no, mom, the mother must have known, but I was watching and I'm like, the child is so confused because it's my father that's supposed to love me, and for a mother, this is my husband who loves my child.
Exactly.
And so it's a very complex situation to navigate. And boy, and I don't know if people understand just how much gender-based violence is just not a one-line thing. Nadine said it, it's not black and white. And so, David, talk to me about the process, because a lot of it was reliving this, just capturing the past and the present, and just how much the past is still affecting the present in this one moment. So walk me through the idea, the concept of the film.
Well, the concept of the film actually has taken many forms. We had about 3 different versions that we worked through and went through a process of refining. The letter was our motivation, and the letter we drew all of our material from. But it's actually through dialogue with Joy, as a mentee from Spotlight, that encouraged us to be more true to form of the letter. So the original version was actually not as honest as it is now, actually. And one of the things she pointed out was let her speak, use her words, and what you hear from in the film is taken straight from the letter.
Okay.
And the process we went through to get there was a long one, right, Ryan? Pretty long one. But ultimately, we casted well. We made sure we got A-list actors who either knew the material firsthand, unfortunately, or knew someone. Like, it's so common now that sadly somebody knows somebody, right? And so they were so when Dakota or Letitia were acting, they were not drawing from something I told them. They were drawing from something they themselves knew, sadly. You know, they were drawing from stories they've seen in the news. You know, and so that was what we did. So when we workshop scenes, and it was very collaborative. Like Dakota would say, hey, what if instead of this I go here and I go in the bathroom? Because I wouldn't just move on, I would react to that, you know? And so that kind of informed a lot of the scenes. And Janelle as well, Janelle, our writer, she also was instrumental in that as well. And so that was our process. It was very much collaborative.
Yeah. Frank, talk to me about yours. I mean, just the image of the fire was very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, visually, I think what me and Stephanie were both going for, we didn't want to take away from the fact that Delmarine and her ability to tell her story is very powerful. And she's a great storyteller, and just having her on camera takes our project to another level. So what we wanted to do was kind of embrace the fact of keeping her in black and white, keeping her as true to form as possible. There's no flash, no gimmicks, and kind of enhance her story with a visualization of what she's saying, and not keep it so literal. But we feel the impact of what she's going through. We feel the fear through these specific moments. And I think working with like very talented DPs like Randy Richards, and he basically made it as simple as possible to bring what we had in our mind to life.
Yeah.
And work with our writer as well. He took the time out to kind of really dive into what each shot means and can work.
Yeah, that was one of the things for me, Stephanie. I mean, all the films seem so powerfully simple, but they're so complex. And to have Delmarine tell her own story, and yourself embodying that story, what was that like for you?
Well, very personal because I know Delmarine. I've gotten to know her over the years, and she's my friend. And so, you know, having played this the role of friend and just, you know, colleague on these issues, and then to translate all of what I have learned about her in just these few seconds, I felt honored, you know, more than anything else. But I also felt that it was an opportunity, you know, an opportunity to bring to life and visualize, especially this issue of women facing this particular kind of victimization, you know, meaning the fire, the use of man burning down the fire, burning down the house with kids, that particular scenario, which is unfortunately not unique in Jamaica. I felt like it was just so important for that to be visualized, and you know, just to say, you know, it was completely a highlight of my career as an actress. To be able to embody that in whatever way I could.
Yeah, and it's interesting, contrasting endings. Delmarine still in that moment, showing compassion and saying it's going to be okay. I was only 12. I was pleased to read at the end of it that there was justice, that the father was brought to justice. Ryan, how important was that for you to include that?
So that was pretty important because our survivor wanted us to include that bit of information in it. That was actually her particular request to include that aspect of it. And it's important for us to bring this sort of information to people, that perpetrators of violent acts, such as the case of what has happened in I Was Only 12, it's important to know that people can be brought to justice at the end of the day if we speak up, if we shed light to what is happening. I think one of the biggest injustice that happens is when we remain silent, when we cast a blind eye to all of these atrocious acts that are happening to our women and our girls.
Yeah, absolutely. David, I mean, you referenced E4 Live. A lot of the CSOs worked along with the projects. What was that experience like for you? Because coming in with an idea, but then sitting with them and hearing from them, from their perspective, how they want stories to be told and represented. How did that change anything for you?
Well, you definitely can't go into any ego as a director.
Yes.
Right? Or writer or producer, because at the end of the day, it's about their story. And once you keep that as the foundation, I think you develop the right attitude towards doing these projects. We enjoyed, I think it was like a 2-hour Zoom call like we had with her at that, that really set us on okay, so our whole story changed. All right. But we're gonna do it though. That was our attitude, and I think it was a better story as a result. Honestly, I think the story on screen was better because we had to have that shift.
Yeah.
And so it reminds you, like, yes, you're creative. Yes, you're bringing your perspective and your abilities and your talent and your experience. But at the end of the day, it's all about their story, and because that story is what is going to impact other victims and it's going to impact change, because it's not our ability to write a story or ability to act well or whatever. It's about the truth that's going to change anything.
Yeah. How important was that to UNICEF, Novia? It could have been, listen, we want to get some stories about gender-based violence, and our very creative filmmakers could have just made up some stories which would probably be as impactful, but why did we feel the need to include people who have actually been through this journey and this experience?
That was central to the entire project, Delia. And before I go on, I just want to really big up the filmmakers for their courage, because this is not easy material to work with. And so we really, really want to congratulate you and thank you so much for taking this issue on. But for us, for the Spotlight team, for JAFTA, it was really important that real stories come through. We wanted something that we can take, because beyond this premiere and we're going to television with some of this, we are taking these to communities. We are going to be using these pieces as ways to spark discussion and kind of remove some of the silence that continues to just live on this issue. And so in order for us to do that, yes, we know our creatives are great, and we know our creative folks could come up with really compelling stories, but nothing is quite as compelling as somebody's actual story that they can tell you, this is what happened to me, and if you're going through anything like this, know that you can come through it. There was just a particular element to it that we knew we needed to talk about real people, and we needed to show that people can come through this, because there's somebody who is going through it right now who thinks that their world is going to end like this.
Right.
And so it is critical and important for us to know, and for people, women, girls, and other people who are going through this to know that you can come through this, and this can be a story that you tell in some other time.
Listen, it's 4 stories, four different stories, which I think reinforces to all of us that gender-based violence happens in many different ways. But my takeaway is silence empowers the perpetrator. Speak up. There are people who want to hear you. There are people who want to support you, and it's never too late to get justice. Those are my takeaways. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. Stephanie Lyle, Ryan Campbell, David Johnson, and Novia Condell. Remember, I said don't run off. Frank, thank you so much. I know you're not going to get to do the photos here. They have to run and do their photos. But thank you guys so much for doing this. And we look forward to where it's going to head. Remember, this Wednesday at 9:30, look out for a special broadcast of the shorts and discussion on TVJ. But we have to thank some folks. Without them today, it wouldn't be possible, right? And so I want to start with the entire JAFTA team, including the past and present JAFTA board and executive. Special thanks to Annalisa Chapman, who began working on this project from the very beginning and helped to steward it all the way through, along with the JAFTA president, Saeed Thomas, and fellow JAFTA members Leslie Ann Wannis, Tashara Lee Johnson, Maya Wilkinson, and Basil Jones. We have to thank the judges. You saw 4 shorts, but that's not all that was submitted, I have to tell you. They reviewed all the submissions and made the final selections. On the first round, the judging panel included Monique Long from UN Women, Hilary Nicholson from Women's Media Watch, Jamaican writer and directors Santinish Myers and Caleb Dagler, and Alison Brown Knight from UNICEF. Then they advanced to a second round, and the panel was Randall Richards and Tashara Lee Johnson from JAFTA and Alison Brown Knight from UNICEF. We have to thank all of UNICEF CSO partners who work on Spotlight at the community level, with special thanks to those who helped to source the mentees. E for Life, oh my gosh, E for Life, and especially Patricia Watson, who helped with the initial sensitization session, and Joy Crawford, who worked closely with the teams to provide psychosocial support, sensitization, and guidance for the project teams and survivors. Thank you so much, E for Life. The Spotlight Comms team working 24 hours a day at the UN Resident Coordinator's Office. The teams at Palace Amusement, thank you so much. We're here at the Drive-In Cinema. Oh my gosh. Can you believe that? With the Spotlight J films on big screen, right? And Phase 3 Productions, thank you so much, making this evening possible. The European Union, who provides funding for the Spotlight Initiative. The UNICEF team for providing overall coordination of Spotlight Shorts JA, with special thanks to project lead Alison Brown Knight, who worked closely with Gail Hode, Novia Condell, Ross Shell, and Wendy Blackwood. And finally, we thank 2 very important groups of people without whom none of this would be possible. The first group is our project team of filmmakers and writers. Please put your hands together as I call the names. Jolene Kenyon, Jamar McFarlane, Nadine Rawlins, Maylin Lowe, Ryan Campbell, David Johnson, Janelle Powell, Frank O'Neill, Stephanie Lyle, Nick Honor Gordon, all supported by a dedicated cast and crew. Thank you for your energy, your creativity, and your passion for this project. Your films are works of art and works of heart, and they have helped to amplify the voices of the vulnerable and the survivors. I have to thank our second group, and listen, we saved the best for last, our survivors. Kat, thank you so much. Delmarine, Donique, and Rhonda, whose experiences are featured in these films. We're deeply grateful. This is so brave of you, and we're so grateful. And the courage you had to share your stories in an effort to help others, we can never tell you how thankful we are. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember again to join us on Wednesday. I also have to thank Reasons and Seasons for all the wonderful setup we have here. Yes, very important reminder. So we'll be having the official photo session with the Film Projects teams. So please make your way to the primary photo shoot area. And I want to remind you, there's a contact information on screen for anyone who needs to seek help or to report cases of gender-based violence or child abuse. There it is. For those attending at the drive-in, there are 2 persons here who can connect you to professional support. Look out for them. They're wearing black Spotlight Shorts t-shirts with Spotlight pins, and you can find them in the primary photo area. This was such a powerful evening, guys. Thank you so much for staying with us online and those who made it here to the Drive-In Cinema. I'm Delia Harris. Always a pleasure and an honor to speak about issues of gender-based violence. Be blessed. Reach out to someone, and if you know someone who needs help, reach out to them. Have a good evening.